Hello, I'm Dima Yeremenko, and well, dogs, it's probably all I did for the last, 32 years. Very briefly, what put me on the map, I believe, is the hand feeding. Hand feeding as a process, as a regime, as the way to rehabilitate the dogs or start working with the new dogs. I live with 3 dogs. We have a hand-fed cat, a parrot, and the training I do, well, involves pretty much every discipline in the book. Over the years, I've been into showing, obedience, competition, gun dogs, field trials, agility training with my boys, but they're just as easily taught absolutely anything. Right, the hand feeding, and you have the hands and you have the feeding. Well, you need a dog, so I have 2 little ones, so you'll see exactly how it works. Right, these are both my boys, both rescues. Rescues mean what? Sometimes dogs are given a chance and sometimes they're not. This little man was signed off to be put to sleep. He was really bad. And this pretty little thing spent 3 years in the shelter, has not been able to find a home, both due to aggression, quite severe aggression to start with. So what got them out of it, I believe, is the hand feeding. So what I've done now, I've just put some food in there. I usually measure it up very precisely. Dogs have very small stomach. Teddy's one is probably about half the size of my fist. So what you put in there, well, cannot just go on and on and on. So all the treats like chicken and sausages and liver treats, they're all fine, as long as you realize that the dogs are supposed to eat 20, 30 of those a day. I would probably bombard him with 300-400 kibbles per meal, twice a day. Any hand-fed dog that is on this regime will probably have more training done in a week than most dogs in their lifetime, just simply because of the quantity of repetition. So, to start with, it's just plain and simple. It's a build-up of the attitude. Here's a biscuit, it goes to the dog eats it willingly. The moment the dog starts doing this, you're ready to start working. Then we go through a little navigation. So now the dog will have to move from A to B, going from one spot to the other, wherever the hand moves. I work on a precision basis, so if the dog is 1 second delayed there, I cut off the feeding. Why? I just want the dog to give me his best. It's an attitude build-up before anything. The dog that wants to be trained will learn absolutely anything. So we go through fairly basic moves to start with, left, right, up and down, walking in sort of zigzags and going, to the floor and up in the air. So at that point I will start building up the commands. Commands like, I don't know, sit, down, stand, courtesy, nice, and sit, big, and so on. Well, your turn is coming. You just lie down there. Here's your biscuit there. Well, we go on, and I don't have to stop myself as long as the food has been measured, and, well, until the bowl is empty, he's got to be doing little things there. So each of those commands will have a name, which the dog will very quickly remember, again, because of the quantity of the build-up. Twirl and spin. Good. And back. Go back and hasten down. And this way. Good boy. Teddy. Paw. Paw and high up. Nice. Well done. Hasten, lie down there. Stay. Right. So what happens then? We try to win the dog off that constant food use. Now we split the lure and reward. Huge and probably the biggest point in the dog training. This is where the dog learns that you don't have to work for food, you work for who delivers the food. So the food is there, the hand is away. So the moment the dog looks away from food, the dog gets rewarded. Simple targeting, all the clicker trainers do exactly that. So reward immediately follows the walking away from the food. So now the dog will be just as willingly following the empty hand, even when it doesn't carry anything. Now this is where the hand feeding will slightly sort of become, well, different from delivering the food by hand. So I could be asking the dog to touch my hand or touch and hold my hand and toss the food on the floor. I could be putting it back in the feeding bowl. I could be asking the dog to, Teddy, down, over, roll, down, and roll over, well done. And throwing the biscuit up in the air, getting the dog to go back, nice. And tossing the food. So again, even though it still comes from me, now it doesn't have to be delivered directly. I could be checking it across the room, I could be placing it in a trap, so where the dog will go and lie down, say for distant control commands. So very quickly, this gives him, I don't know, hundreds and hundreds of vocabulary sort of exercises, different things to do. At that point, I start teaching a stay. So these are stationary exercises where I am free to do my own thing, or just not to do anything. I could be sitting and watching television, and I will be rewarding him with certain intervals. So slowly, bit by bit, just for not doing anything. So I could be dropping the food on the floor, I could be stepping over him, bringing another dog to jump over, and rewarding him for doing absolutely nothing. So a hugely important part of training, and the one overlooked by pretty much everybody. Down, stay. So now any distraction of any sort, I don't want to be prancing around, but I usually do that. Down, flat, stay, still. Noise distraction, food distraction. So this time this dog will be rewarded for the whole session, if it takes that, just for doing exactly that, what he's told. So he's learning to be compliant, he's learning to be keen on following any instruction, whatever that position is. Big, and hold it there. Still, teddy big, hold it, hold it. Oh, I love that. That's a very nice one. And this way, up, up. Hold it there, pray. Ted, pray. Come on. And a bit more. Stay still. So, teddy, pray, still. Say, we do introduce quite a few commands that mean just don't do anything. And the moment the dogs get that, we go into the next important thing. Again, where most trainers fail, they teach dogs to do things, basically forgetting about teaching the dogs not to do certain things. At this stage, we introduce a temptation. This is where some people just don't like teasing the dogs with something the dogs desperately want. My dogs want their food, they want their toys, they want to run with other dogs and squirrels. But at some point in their training, they have to learn, Teddy, this way. The food is there, but you're not supposed to do it until you're told to do so. So still, wait. Okay, oh, you missed. Good boy. So this time we're teaching him that resilience to temptations, if you like. So from simple, no, good boy, to down, wait, still, wait there. Okay, Ted, well done. So just not taking the food until you have to. This young man was taking to quite a length of exercises. From the beginning, I kind of had in mind keeping him for good. So we've taught some of the things which I don't usually have time to teach to other dogs. Still, okay. You probably can't see it in such a tiddly little dog. Now, if you think back, how many rewards do you think this dog has taken from the beginning of this session? So quite a bit, right? So again, I'm free to go until the end of the meal, even though he's been fed his breakfast. I can just simply cut it down during the dinner time, but I usually keep a very accurate eye on what I feed to each dog. So I do measure up their food, just making sure that stand there in that condition. Up, up. So it's nice when the dog is sort of lean and healthy and light in their weight. Not hungry, if this is something you're going to ask me about, hungry dogs don't learn any better. Hungry dogs is the same as a tired dog. Brain needs energy. Energy comes from food. So the dog that feeds regularly is not hungry, and its brain is not hungry. So the dog needs to be able to do this pretty much by habit rather than by hunger. Right, we'll swap the dogs. So little Heston, you will see completely different type, different age. Teddy, by the way, is going to be 3 very soon. Heston is nearly 8, I think, now. He's been with me for about, 18 months. And you will see, even though he's a completely different type of dog, look how similar he is at everything that we do. Why? Because I do it in the exact same way. So whenever it comes to roll and down, over, it pays to do the exact thing that you asked about. So the attitude is there, so I will be asking the dog to do the same things this way, and spin and twirl, and good boy, up, up, good boy, and pray. Oh yeah, that's cute. Right, anyway, we're going to the next group of exercises. Hand feeding for me is the combination of 10 different categories. that the dog has to go through, usually within 2-3 weeks. Heston was hand-fed for 9 days to start with, and we basically covered everything we needed in 9 days. Right. So this group of exercises is, well, we call it cuddling up exercises. It teaches the dog the tolerance of being turned inside out, if it takes that. Don't take it literally. So, now I will be touching the dog, pushing the dog, leaning on the dog, rewarding him for what? For allowing me to be there, allowing me to check his eyes, ears, teeth, and so on. Well, you know the standard good citizen requirements. The dog has to be easily inspected, you know, mouth looked at, paws picked up, the dog just manipulated, shoved, lifted, turned around, so he goes down, he gets rewarded for it. So not a surprise that my dogs love it. You know why? Because over a period of week or two, they get hundreds and hundreds of reinforcements for just being what? Being touched, inspected. This is your basics of the husbandry. You teach the dogs to be handled. Most rescue dogs, well, don't know what it is like. They don't know what happens when the person puts a hand down their body, when the person just checks their underbelly. My dogs are very keen on this now. Why? It's a simple conditioning. They are taught to like being good. Right, it makes a common sense, of course, if you start thinking about it, though once again, people seem to overlook it. So in our puppy classes, or advanced or rescue classes, we teach this as a compulsory discipline. So any position, down, flat, stay still, any posture, still. Oh, beautiful, well done. You encourage the dogs to volunteer and offer themselves for close body contact. Volunteer, I do insist on. If I hold on to his paw, I take away his choice of walking away if he doesn't want it. I am praising him or rewarding him for wanting to be there, for keeping his head there, not when I'm holding on to him. I'm probably bigger and stronger than him. I need his cooperation. I want him to work with me. Reward. Let me reward the little guy for not being involved. Stay there. Right. Anyway, this is how we teach them to be brushed, groomed, washed, you know, vet checked and so on. We're moving on to the next category. By the way, the cat is coming up. And what do we reward them for? For non-interacting with the cat. So yes, it's the same temptation training where he will be paid for not chasing the cat, not getting involved into a football game, not trying to jump on the horse when the horse walks by. Well, again, simple, logical, but needs doing. This is where we will go into the obstacle training. Obstacle training will be absolutely anything. Now we've covered the temptation training, so we can use the actual ball as a stator, as the first obstacle. So this time I will be rewarding the dog for using the ball as an obstacle, not buying into the food thing. So we will be going to walk around it, come on, and sit doing recalls past the ball, and I'll be rewarding him not just for choosing not to eat, but for working with something like an object. That object could be anything else. It could be an agility stator, an agility article. It could be a simple over, oh, super Heston, well done, under and over. It could be a little broom or hoover in your house. So the dog will be learning to deal with absolutely anything that you bring on the scene. So I will put a pillow there, and I wouldn't have to deal with the dog being frightened of certain objects. Why? Whatever I bring in is going to be a source of good news for him. So he will be happy to climb on it, to walk on it, to put the paws on it. Why? Every object that you see around you, we have covered. On the couch, off the couch, on the top of the couch, you know, right to the bottom. Walk around the table, walk underneath the table. So I don't have to chase him around, you know, trying to teach him something that I haven't ever sort of fed him for not doing. So this time, if I bring, let's say, a chair or a ball, stay from one side to another side of the dog, he's not going to be freaking out. Why? You would think, oh, my dog is sound sensitive. This is where I'm going to be covering. Sound deterrence. Good boy. So why would he be scared of something that gives him pleasure, that gives him food? Okay, we're moving on. Now at this point, We will just talk about the next two stages. Tricks and fun stuff. Stupid things that don't make any sense, but it's so much fun to teach. Things like, Ted, up, good boy, and spin, good boy, and twirl, down, good boy, stand, nice. Teddy, stand, good, courtesy, yes. Ted, sit, nice, big, good, okay, well done. High five. Properly. High five. Good boy. Good boy. Wait. Good boy. Teddy, in. Teddy, in. Now, do you really need it with your dog? I'll tell you, I do. I like living with clever dogs that I can just pretty much ask about anything. Sit. Big. Heston. Big. Oh, that's cute. Well done, boys. So call it whatever you wish. We teach a lot of stuff just for fun. Again, what they learn out of it is to get right into the depths of what you're trying to teach. So trick training, absolutely love it, can't have enough of it. His vocabulary would probably include 300-400 different commands. Well, and he's not the brightest dog I own. Right, weaning the dogs off the food is very easy. You start rewarding less, you start asking more. So this time he could be doing loads and loads and loads of other things, and I will occasionally give him a reward. Varying that reinforcement schedule, I will be rewarding him in unpredictable intervals. Sometimes every single time, high five, nice. Sometimes after 5 minutes of work, so he never knows when that reward is coming. And go back, Teddy, turn reverse, good man, walk, and walk, oh beautiful, through. So weaning them of food means that yes, I can go in the ring just having 5 of those for half an hour session. The dogs will still give me that because, as I said, I build up those intervals, getting the dogs to do pretty much anything I want with the payout at the very end of it. And the biggest secret of all that I'm going to share with you is this. I love using treats. I don't train using treats. Difference being, we go in the ring and I open that secret pocket filled up with garlic sausage or liver treat, and imagine the reaction on the dog's face when they used to work for their boring, everyday, normal kibble. So they love their treats, like every other dog does, and they give me lots more attention and focus for those. So I do mix treats with normal, everyday food during the bigger projects. Hence, my dog's having absolutely 100% attention, whatever we do. We go on stage and they're not fazed by cameras, lights, heat, waves, serpentine. Why? Because there's something else in their life that they really enjoy. And that's something that I had to introduce. So I do it in training. What else? Distance. Just everything you do with the dog, sort of being a few steps away from it, I try to cover being at the end of the room. And that will teach the dog to do pretty much everything, like a recall, let's, emergency stop when you're out in the park. How many things can you do with your dog being 5 steps away from it? Well, I introduce that and I teach that. They don't need the biscuit at the top of their nose. They get used to the sound of my voice coming from miles away. So they will give me pretty much everything I taught them at the close range from as far as I want them to. These are the 10 building blocks of the hand feeding. Jumped into 5 minutes, usually extended into about 2 weeks. Do I hand feed my dogs on the ongoing basis? No. They have a normal life and they eat from the bowl in the kitchen like all your dogs. The only thing to start with, they have to go on a hand feeding regime with me. It's my panacea from all problems. Every single dog I work with starts with a hand feeding course. So this young fella has been on it for 6 weeks, hence such a big vocabulary. Little Heston was not brighter, but he was just so quick at picking things up. 9 days, and he's been eating from his bowl ever since.